Hey everybody, what's up everybody on YouTube? Hello, salud, sava, buenas noches, good evening to you all. This video is gonna be about what are tarot cards. These babies, these. Get into it, get into it. We finna get into it. So this is one of my decks of tarot cards. So just to start things off, tarot cards usually have an average, I believe, of between either 72 or 77 cards to 100. These cards are comprised of the major arcana and the minor arcana. So major arcana are going to be those cards that are about the overall big picture, someone's overall life path, life journey, so just big picture things, versus the minor arcana, which is going to be your day-to-day issues. So I think that's a good way for us to start off. If you're following me here, it's probably because you got me on IG, and we're about this life. So if not, then hi, I'm Liana Gabriel. I read tarot professionally. What's popping? So y'all know I got my little notes for y'all because so I have been studying witchcrafts and traditional religions for about the past 2 years of my life, to be honest. Both in and out of academia. So I did take a actual class on witchcraft this past semester, a part of the religion department at Concordia University in Montreal. Dans l'Université du Concordia dans Montréal. So now all of you can make fun of my horrible French. So I did take an actual class about this, guys. Okay, so we are passing on the knowledge, literal academic knowledge. So with that being said, I'm very excited to share my knowledge with you guys, because there's a major difference between what you see on social media, what you hear your friends talk about, and what is taught in an actual institution. And I am not going to say that any source is right or wrong. Witchcraft, traditional religious systems are very, they're just, maybe I'm trying to say like subject to their own interpretations. So, and influences. So, tarot, these wonderful cards that you see, are a form of divination. Divination is something that is used to give you information that is not readily available in front of you. Okay, information about the future, information about someone else's feelings, perspective, possible moves in the future, information that is not readily available. Okay, so there are different forms of divination. If you yourself are not familiar with tarot cards, it's also pronounced tarot, if I'm not mistaken. Tarot cards, another popular pronunciation. You might have come across, heard of something else that is a form of divination. In some parts of the world, when you drink a cup of tea, it can be turned over, and the remnants of the tea leaves inside can be interpreted to mean things, to communicate messages to you. So that's a form of divination. So reading tea leaves would be one, tarot cards would be another one. I would say a very common mainstream film, TV aspect of divination, form of divination, would definitely be palm reading. So in palm reading, I think palm reading is really cool. In palm reading, what's done is, they look at these major lines that we have, as well as the smaller lines, and they tell you things about how your life is gonna go, and about you yourself. So that's really cool. That's another form of divination. So you guys can have an overall uh, idea of what this concept is, because tarot cards, the tea leaves, the palm leaves, reading the tea leaves. I'm getting palm leaves because I clearly want to go on vacation. I'm thinking of palm trees, but it's important to understand these are just methods. Okay, what's actually happening? What's happening is divination. These are just different methods of that. So this is really cool. To be clear, divination is gonna be different than other methods. Chloe, excuse me. Oh my goodness, you're so goodbye. Ow. Like, there are things. Okay, there's astrology. There's numerology. These things are not divination. These things are separate, and I will discuss them else in another video if you would like. But this is not divination. Divination is separate. Divination is different. Astrology, horoscopes, studying the stars, that goes back to astronomy. That's very scientific. This is all very connected. So tarot, getting back to our lovely tarot cards. So now that you guys have the overall big picture and you understand that it's divination happening, that tarot is simply a method for this happening. Tarot in particular is a great way to counsel people, to gain counseling, to gain insight, to gain knowledge, to gain a different perspective regarding certain, almost anything realistically. I mean, honestly, almost anything in life. You can get a tarot reading about. Tarot's great for people who want to know about a certain situation, a certain relationship, a certain environment, a certain conflict that's going on, a certain circumstance that has presented itself. Tarot's gonna be an amazing way to get another perspective, another view, and to have input from the other side, from the spiritual world, from your ancestors, from your spirit guides. Yes, this is the vibe. This is it, yo. So tarot, what's also really cool about tarot is that tarot has been used by so many different people all around the world throughout history, because it's been around for so long. Even before tarot cards, people were reading playing cards. You guys know, like, playing cards for poker, for those kinds of things. People were reading those as tarot cards. People were getting messages from that. People were interpreting the symbols on those cards before tarot even came about. So the thought process behind it, the goal of divination has always been there. Tarot is just such a beautiful manifestation of that desire, of that will to get insight from the other side. So I find that so beautiful, that tarot is something that has been used by so many different cultures and so many different people around the world in so many different places. So yes. So if you've heard of tarot before, me, I would love to hear your story. Drop a comment below. Yeah. I first heard of tarot, got into tarot. I mean, no, like, been exposed to tarot. Actually, when I was a kid, there was a little mini deck in a chain bookstore that I will not name. And I remember being very little and begging my mom to get it for me. It was a little sad. They used to have these little kits to go, like Harry Potter to go, origami to go. And this one was the little tarot to go set. and I begged, you know. But for me, I was a kid. It was just a toy. I played with it for a bit, and then that was it. And then, when I was a couple years ago, in that same chain bookstore, I came across the same mini Tarot to Go kit, and it filled me with an instant sense of nostalgia. And I just knew I had to get my hands on it. And that was when I really wholeheartedly began to study tarot and really fall in love with it. It's a beautiful thing when you're able to establish a connection between you and the other side, and in terms of spirituality, tarot and oracle cards and these other things really really do allow us to reach to have the opportunity to reach a level of transcendence. And I know you guys are like, oh my god, this bitch is so extra, but like I really really do love what I do. I really really do, guys. Tarot changed my whole life, and the first time I had a tarot reading was within my culture. So it's very near and dear to my heart because the first time I had my professional tarot reading was at a botanica. And I would say if you're Latino, if you're Hispano, you know what a botanica is. You know what you know what a consulta is. You know that these things are very normal for us. I am such a crybaby. That was my first tarot reading, was in the botanica with an elder within my religion and within my culture. And you know, every single time I've had a card reading, it's never been wrong. It's never been wrong. And when you go to a botanica, these consultas are being done with some form of divination, whether it's tarot cards or other mediums that I will not discuss, to protect my culture and to respect my position, because I'm not in a place to speak that deeply there. And you have to recognize your rank in these kinds of circles and in these communities. If this is something you're interested in, if you're a baby witch who's watching this, who sees me on IG and who's seen me develop, understand that the only reason you see what you see is because I've been given permission. And this is not permission that came from the other side, from the ancestors. No. I've been given permission from people within this community, from Botanica, from community, to speak to a certain extent, to do things to a certain extent. So I will be respectful of that, and I will be able to answer questions, but I might not be able to answer all of them out of respect for my position, and I know you guys will understand that. So going to a Botanica is always an immensely cultural experience. And getting a tarot reading has never been wrong for me, whether it be out of botanica from an elder or on my own. The cards just be hitting, like the cards be spitting and the cards be hitting, like it's deep and it's real. You know, when you're open to the messages that the universe has to help you, you know, you can receive them. So it's very much an honor for me to be able to help you guys access that information that's going to make your lives easier, that's going to take weight off your shoulders, that's going to give you a sense of freedom, that's going to help you on your journey to healing. Because as an empath, I know so deeply what it is to suffer. So, you know, being able to use tarot to help you guys has been such a blessing for me. So with that being said, different people have different gifts. Like, not everyone is psychic, not everyone can see the future, not everyone, you know, not everyone talks to dead people. These are all different gifts. We all have different gifts, guys. And divination is the practice, and the gift pertains to the different methods and the methodology behind it. So understand that, you know, when you see different readers, when you see different healers, Some people have the same gift, but people have different gifts. Not everyone is psychic. Not everyone is this, then the third. So just keep that in mind as you do come across us on social media. So, frequently asked questions. Okay, are tarot cards against God? Okay, so traditional holy books throughout the world do not favor forms of divination at all. They don't favor anything that's going to give you access to any sort of information outside of what will be immediately accessible to you. And the reason is because there is the utmost respect for God's will and God's plan. And yeah. So, are tarot cards necessarily against God? In my opinion, no. Because if they were against God, God wouldn't have bestowed us with these gifts to be able to help and heal people. Are there people who use these kinds of gifts for bad things? Are there people who have negative intentions who use their gifts for bad? Of course. Of course. But unfortunately, we live in a world where people in all fields across the world can abuse their powers in any line of work for bad, to do bad, with some level of malice in their heart behind their intention. So what I do personally, no, not that. I more work in love and light. I mean, I feel like maybe I specialize in shadow work. Ha 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 ha. Because I've been doing it for so long. Ha 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 ha. Spiritual joke. But I personally work in love and light, and I do not use my spiritual gifts to harm others. Does this exist in this world? Yes, but there's doctors with malpractice suits over this. Like, you guys should be able to know what I'm talking about without me having to really say it. Like, peep game. There's people in all jobs across the world who abuse their power. Okay. So we're on the same level. Cool. Stay woke, y'all. Stay woke. So there is a difference between traditional religious systems, like African traditional religions, and your mainstream religions that are like Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, Hinduism, Islam. There's very big differences between practices that are very community culture based and who have had minimal to no influence of from colonial rule and from globalization, and they've maintained their practices and their rituals. There's a big difference between that and the mainstream stuff. What was very disappointing for me studying in academia was the harsh reality that the first, what was it? Anthropologists, there we go. The first anthropologists were European colonists. You know, some of them were just European colonists going to the, going to predominantly what I personally read with my own eyes. If anyone would, please comment if you'd like to read the same thing I was reading during the semester regarding this matter. Anthropologists going specifically to Africa and studying tribes and deeming all of their religious practices as savage. Okay? And this is where we get the very, very negative stereotypes about hoodoo, voodoo, about things of this nature. Again, as I was saying, do some people use these things with bad intention and with malice and to create harm? Absolutely, 1,000%. But so do doctors, so do, the list goes on and on. You guys should know exactly what I'm talking about. We see this every day on social media. So with that being said, this is how our traditional systems gained such a bad reputation off the jump, because we were defined by people who just had a very bad view about everything we were doing, to be honest with you. So my family's from Puerto Rico and Cuba. Shout out to the Caribbean. And if you're from the Caribbean, I'm pretty sure pictures of this. I mean, even in South America and Brazil, there's festivals for the orishas, and they're beautiful. You know, and there's people who will dress up as the orishas and dance. And I have read personal firsthand scholarly accounts where the anthropologists are saying that we are channeling the devil and demons, and just very things that were very upsetting to me. And if you know me personally, you know it had me, duh. You know it had me, duh. Like, not cool. Like, just not cool. Just not cool. Not cool. Not cool to disrespect anybody's religious practices and say that it's savage, ignorant, of the devil. Like, oh my God, please. So, yes, my dears. Yes, my dears. Keep in mind, you know, this was not just the Euro reaction, the colonial reaction. Guys, this was hundreds of years ago. You know, this was not just their reaction in Africa. You know, this was their reaction when they came to the New World and they saw the Native Americans and their spiritual practices and their rituals and things that they've preserved, you know, over the generations, just as we have, in such a beautiful way. Much respect to indigenous people and their practices. The Euros had the same perspective. The European colonists, when they came to the New World, they saw them and they saw their practices, and it was very much just labeled as the same thing as savagery and just horrible, very, very upsetting things that I was reading this past semester related to that. So there's very much a really big difference between those things. The other thing would be yes, major world religions have holy texts. You guys know this. There's holy books. There's the Bible, there's the Torah, there's the Quran. You know, these holy books were distributed, you know, on a mass level throughout the world. The printing press, it completely revolutionized societies across the board. So with that being said, there's a huge difference between these mainstream faiths with holy books, with guiding texts for your life, versus traditional practices that are coming from a specific country, region, etc. You know, so keep in mind what has always been labeled as savage and as ungodly, in essence, immensely disrespectful, because everyone has their own method, has their own ways of trying to feel close to God, trying to feel close to higher power, to that universal pull, to karma, fate, destiny, rule, Allah, by whatever name you call this magical high being, Akshay, this overall great ruling power of the universe. Everybody has their own way of trying to connect. That is called transcendence. I learned that at Concordia. Transcendence. That's what we all try to do when we try to connect to God, when we try to pray, when we do these things, when we do our rituals, yes, all that wonderful, beautiful energy. That's transcendence. That's humans trying to transcend and be close to that higher power. So it was immensely disrespectful when the colonials arrived to our nations, indigenous nations, African nations, all these other beautiful places that ended up colonized. Immensely disrespectful when they landed on our lands and claimed that our forms of transcendence, our spiritual practices, our religious practices, were ungodly, were savage, immensely disrespectful. And you will still see to this day that certain belief systems, certain religious practices, certain religious groups, certain spiritual groups will be deemed still to this day with those negative connotations of savagery, of ignorance, of demonic connotations, things like that. So it's very, very important to keep an open mind if you're interested in learning about any of this. Please have an open mind, and it is a very good idea to check out who wrote what you're writing to see if there's going to be any bias automatically built into what you're reading. So I thank you guys so much if you watched all of this. Me and my tarot cards say hi. We adore you. We love you very much. If you'd like to book a personal custom tarot reading, please be sure to comment below and let's figure it out. Let's make it happen because I'm here for you. So I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for all your support. And I'll see you guys on Witchy Wednesday, which is going to be the 1 year anniversary of Witchy Wednesday, which will definitely make me cry like a baby. So I love you guys. Buenas noches. Mucho y mucho amor, como dijo Walter Mercado.